Hello once again. My name is Brian Best from Instructional Technology in Manatee County. And with me is my co-host,
Caroline Hoffner, and I am in professional learning in Manatee County.
Last week, we had told our listeners that we were going to have a timeline for the K-1 standards-based grading implementation. And guess what? We have one. There's a few things that we need to kind of talk about. And we also have a timeline for some things that we need to get done next year. We're going to post a link to that underneath the podcast. Some things that we don't really need to talk about right now. We need to talk about the things that we need to get done this year. And the first thing is that the teachers will use the Focus Gradebook for documentation of student scores in all content areas and the reporting of student progress to the parents. What does that mean? You're putting in your assignments, your tests, your assessments into the gradebook. You're assigning points, assigning questions, making sure that you put it in the graded and the non-graded categories, and then you will tag your standards that go along with that assignment. And the tagging of the standards is really important as we get into the standards-based grading for pulling reports. Right now, we are, and Caroline's going to talk about grading holistically. But instructional technology went out and we trained teachers in a way to grade the assessments using standards-based grading. So you want to hit the holistic scoring because I think it may be a little confusing to them.
One of the things that I do want to mention is that kindergarten and first grade teachers have been documenting student growth in particular areas, and they may not be writing it down in the same way that we're asking them to do so in Focus Gradebook. So it's a transition into recording what it is that students are doing in the classrooms. In terms of holistic scoring, you either have holistic scores or you have analytic scores. Now, what we're focusing upon this year is the holistic score. Although we're asking you to tag standards, which can be analytically scored within the gradebook, this year we're really only asking teachers to go in and holistically score each assignment or assessment. So in the gradebook, what that's going to look like is when you're in the gradebook and you can see all of your list of students, you will no longer need to double click on each individual student's cell, which then takes you to your analytical scoring.
That was the biggest concern that the teachers at least told me, was that was going to be very, very time consuming. So they're going to be happy about that, I think. I
think so too. And the intent has never been to make teachers spend hours on entering grades. Right. So hopefully this will help with that situation.
Now, how about a guide to the holistic scoring? Do we have one of those?
We absolutely do. In grades K and 1 in the new Common Core rollout, there is a link at the bottom of the podcast that will take you to the curriculum team website. And for grades K and 1, you will see in the overviews unit assessment rubrics that can be used for the common assessments within those grade levels. And teachers can go in and look for evidence at which each level will produce a score for a student. So for example, if you're doing an assessment on a particular math standard in a unit, you can go to that rubric and you can determine whether the student has earned a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. So go and take a look at those rubrics and they'll be very helpful.
Okay. Now how about providing feedback to students and parents in terms of standards? What does that mean?
Well, we really want teachers to be able to explain to students and parents where they are in the learning progression in terms of standards. So by using the gradebook, when you go and when we have the ability to run reports, or you're looking at a particular student's progression and proficiency levels, you're able to clearly articulate to parents and students where they are within that learning progression in terms of levels on the rubrics. Also, the most critical component of any type of assessment or scoring is the fact that it's going to change your instructional focus based on that data. So instructional feedback is really critical for students in order to help them progress.
Yes. So those are the things that we need to get done this year.
Yes.
We do have a set of 6 things that we're going to implement next year, but those will be found on the PDF and the link right under the podcast. Anything else that we need to hit?
Well, we just want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of teachers. And from a lot of communication and a lot of data that's been collected by numerous people, we know that this timeline for the 2012-2013 school year is where we need to be right now, keeping in mind that we will progress into different areas using the Focus Gradebook next school year.
And we realize that the last couple of podcasts have been geared towards K-1. We are going to be having other podcasts that deal with high school and middle school. So be patient. The K-1 Common Core was our priority right now.
Absolutely.
For that, my name is Brian Best.
And I'm Caroline Hoffner.
And this is InFocus. Oh, make sure you follow us on Twitter.
Yes, we're going to be doing some tweets on there, and we're going to highlight some of these main topics that we talked about today.
At InFocus Manatee, or you can email us your questions, infocus@manateeschools.net.